let's get started. Hello, everyone. It is so fantastic to be back here in person at the 50th anniversary of MATS. The last time we got together was MATS in 2019, and the world has changed a little bit since then, I think you could say. Regardless, it is amazing to be back and to be seeing everybody here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Goodale, and I am the co-founder and carrier experience officer for Convoy. We're a supply chain and logistics company focused on the trucking industry. 7 years ago, I started Convoy with my co-founder, Dan Lewis, to solve the biggest problems in freight, the problems that take time out of your lives and money out of your pockets. I'm focused specifically on carriers and drivers, on you. 7 years ago, my job is to understand what you need and how to make things easier for you with technology. We want to keep doing what you love, and for your businesses to thrive while you're doing it. Truck driving is one of the most important jobs in America. You keep the country moving and you keep our economy rolling. And after this week, I'm more convinced of that than ever. So, that's me. And as you can see, I'm not sitting in an office. Earlier this week, I got the experience of a lifetime. On my way to MATS, I got the opportunity to ride with 3 of our small carriers 1,200 miles from San Antonio to here in Louisville. I got a front row seat to their experiences and their lives. I saw how they pour their heart and soul into building their businesses. So, a little bit about this guy. This is Thomas Singletary. He runs tithing transportation out of Converse, Texas, little town east of San Antonio. His story is so inspiring. He has built his business from almost literally nothing to 5 trucks and 8 trailers over the last few years with his wife Pauline and his niece Natasha. They were generous enough to invite me into their home and show me how they book loads, how they run their business. They invited me into their truck where for 4 hours Thomas and I talked about his life, his experiences, his generosity. He actually runs a foundation in order to give back to his community in San Antonio, and his hopes and dreams for his business that he hopes to one day hand off to Natasha, and the problems and the challenges that he sees that he has to overcome in order to achieve that dream. So while I was riding in his cab and the cabs of all of the carriers that I rode with, it was so clear to me what those drivers are doing, what you're doing, keeps America running. Like, entire systems would break down if you didn't show up and do the work, put in the miles every day. So why doesn't trucking work better for you? Why does this industry, which only functions because you do what you do, create so many barriers for you at the same time? Like, every day, every single day, you're dealing with the headache of finding and booking loads, trying to get compensated, like straight up payment for jobs, let alone incidentals, or driving empty miles. And as we watch fuel prices skyrocket, like, that's really getting painful. I mean, that's money gone. You need to earn more with less hassle. Seems obvious, right? Well, that's why I'm here today, to talk about how we, Convoy, can help you earn more with less hassle. So, this is Jacinda Duran. She is the woman that I rode with the second day of my trip. She struggled with these exact problems, right? On the way to MATS, she invited me to ride shotgun with her and her dog, Miles. She is an amazing person. She's a mom of 2. She's a 3rd-generation female driver. How rare is that? So rare. She likes to say she was born on the road. And let me tell you, for the 800 miles that we rode, some of it bobtail, nobody get on me about hours of service, she talked about her life. She talked about the challenges she had. And let me tell you, we saw a lot of those just on that one run. If any of you were on I-40 on Tuesday, you know exactly what I was talking about. It was severe weather in Dallas. It was traffic backed up for hours in both directions because in rural Arkansas, 2 trucks ran off the road within 3 miles of each other, one on each side of the freeway. So it was unbelievably bad traffic. But I got the opportunity with her to meet some of the other drivers on the road as we sat there waiting. I got to meet their dogs, right? So I got the good and the bad. And I got the hassle. We showed up at the facility, hour-long wait outside the gatehouse. We were bobtailing. We just needed to get in and get the trailer and get out. Still had to wait. Then we rolled up, and sadly, her 5th wheel was broken, locking mechanism. We couldn't get the trailer to hitch. So she had to drive back out, go to the local truck stop, get it fixed, and then drive back to the facility, wait in the line, all over again. Like, hassle, right? And then, when she finally made the drop and got to the truck stop where she was spending the night, somebody had taken her parking spot. She had to wait 45 minutes at 12 o'clock at night in order to park. But what she said, and what many of you have told me as well, is that's trucking. That's how it goes. She loves driving. She loves the freedom that trucking affords her. She travels all over the country with her dog. They live out of that truck for most of the year. She's got favorite lanes to run. And for years, she struggled to actually earn enough money at the job that she loves. She worked with a broker, but he wouldn't really give her the prime loads, and he required her to send in lots of photos of the BOLs, and he always wanted to call in as soon as she left a job, and took a couple of weeks to get paid, and sometimes really didn't get paid at all, which is not fair. I want to take a moment and touch on something that I said earlier. What Jacinda does, what Thomas does, what you do, literally drives our economy. Think about this. 2 years ago, COVID flips a bunch of people's lives upside down. A bunch of people stop shopping in stores and start buying everything online, right? Turns out, if you buy things online, they got to get delivered. Who handles all that extra load? Who ramped up in a global crisis? Truck drivers did. You did. You carried it all. Americans were trying to cope with the stress of COVID, and so they went nuts buying online. They bought groceries and gym equipment that's probably not getting used, and who could forget rolls and rolls of toilet paper and paper towels for some reason. Anyway. America had a giant collective moment of retail therapy. Shopping online is really easy, right? Click a button, poof, stuff appears on your doorstep. Magic, right? Except we know it's not magic. We know freight operates a little differently than that behind the curtain. It's inefficient, it relies on systems that don't really talk to each other, and for you, the driver, getting from point A to point B with a load can feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. It's a broken system, and every day, from where I sit, I see and hear about who it hurts the most. It's Jacinda, it's Thomas, it's the owner-operators and small carriers in this country that make up 90% of the drivers on the road. It's you. It doesn't have to be this way. Let's take just one simple example of how this system costs you in a big way. Let's talk about deadhead miles. You know that running empty miles cuts into your profits. Fuel costs alone, owner-operator can average $34,000 a year spent on just fuel for empty miles. And that was with older fuel prices. Crank that up a little now. But I'm not telling you anything new. You've been factoring deadhead costs into your cost of doing business forever, right? This is just a known quantity. What I want to talk to you about is opportunity costs. This is the coulda, shoulda cost, right? I could have been making money. I should have been making money, but the system prevented me from doing so. So let's look at the data. As you know, the average truck drives empty 35% of the time. So let's say you drive 100,000 miles. That's 35,000 empty miles out of that 100,000. Let's take $3-ish for a spot rate earlier this year, somewhere in there. So that means if you could drive those 35,000 miles loaded instead of empty, you would have made an extra $100,000. That's a big pile of cash just kind of left on the table. So this is where technology comes in. Now all of a sudden we can take that opportunity cost and we can turn it into an opportunity. So with the right technology, you can fill your backhauls because it's so much easier to book them and run fully loaded. You're no longer burning money on empty. You're actually earning money on full. So let me show you how it all works. But before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about negotiation. Who here loves to negotiate? Oh, Isaac. Okay. Who here thinks that they spend exactly the right amount of time negotiating and not a moment more? Yeah, that's what I thought. Nobody, by the way, raised their hand. Now think of how much harder that whole process is if you're new to the industry, right? Think about the folks who just aren't as skilled at negotiating, right? It's intimidating to have to sit there and haggle and try to earn what you know you deserve. This is why I love technology, because it can level that playing field. It solves problems that might have seemed impossible to fix. Technology is how you turn those 35,000 empty miles into full miles and capture that extra 100 grand a year. So let's get into it. When you open the Convoy app, you have access to tens of thousands of loads. These are loads from some of the nation's best shippers, by the way. Loads that have traditionally only gone to big asset carriers. And you can see all of them for free. To build this technology the right way, we had to make it easy for you to get those loads. Makes sense, right? Like, that's why people love online shopping. It's so easy. In fact, what if we could make running your business as easy as shopping online? Think of this like, let's use eBay as an example, right? You see a load on the lane you want to run, then you bid on it. Once you win an auction, you accept the load, do the job, get paid. Transaction done. That's it. There are ways you can play this to your advantage. Make it a numbers game. Bid on lots of loads, all at the same time. That's what a lot of our most successful carriers do. And if you win a ton of bids, just take the ones you want. You're not obligated to accept every bid that gets accepted. Just choose the ones that are best for you. You're in control, right? This is your business. You don't have to accept anything you don't want. And you might find that winning a bid comes with the same rush as scoring a vintage Zeppelin concert t-shirt on eBay. Check out that description, by the way. No holes or stains. Sweet. All right. So, speaking of eBay, those of you who've used it probably know about the Buy It Now button. It's where you bypass the whole bidding process and just go ahead and buy it like you would in a store. Well, same concept. If you see a lane you like and you like the rate, click Book Now. That's it. You got the load. So, and not everybody runs the same types of trucks. So, you will see loads based on the types of truck you have and the kinds of loads that you want to run. So if you have reefer, you see reefer loads. You want to run power only? We'll show you power only loads. We've got them all. You can also bundle your head hauls and your back hauls. Or just book a back haul if you've already got a head haul so that you keep your truck full and earning. You reduce or even eliminate empty miles. You don't have to leave that $100,000 sitting on the table. Technology gives you that power. This is your business. You should be in control of how you run it. Speaking of power only, anybody here running power only loads? Okay, got a couple hands, right? Anybody here want to be running power only but haven't really found an easy way to get into it yet? No? Well, check it out if you haven't already. Power only loads are some of the best work out there. These loads are so much less hassle, right? Bobtail in, hook and go. 30 minutes, in and out. However, those loads frequently get reserved for the top carriers, for large carriers, because they've got the trailer pool, right? Small carriers just don't have the trailers to leave behind in a yard, because that's the asset that needs to be making you money. So we wanted to solve that problem. So we created what we call Convoy Go. Convoy Go is a universal convoy-managed trailer pool that all of our carriers get access to with no rental fees. So no cost to use the trailer. Oh, and no extra insurance requirements either. And, just in case that wasn't good enough, now when you use a Convoy Go or a Convoy trailer on a power-only load, you can keep the trailer for up to 72 hours and do other loads with it. So, oh, and by the way, those can be other people's loads. They don't have to be Convoy loads. You just find, book, and complete drop and hook shipments right in the app. Oh, and the trailers, we actually maintain them. They're in great shape. So you can use them safely and get there on time. This helps you earn more money, and it prevents you from getting stuck at facilities. So I want to talk to you about one of the drivers that actually hauls power-only loads with us. This is David Sanders. He hauls local freight around LA. For about the past 2 years, he's run power-only with Convoy, and it's transformed his business. Before, he would run a couple loads a week, and he had pretty big overhead costs with his trailer. You know what? Let's let you hear it in his own words.
Every time I stop, I'm checking the loads. I have bids placed in if I won anything, or see if there's any new power-only loads. Dealing with Convoy is more of a win-win situation with me now. Not only are you bidding on loads, or not only do they show you your lane, but they have comeback loads. So you can batch 2 loads together showing that you're coming out of one facility, delivering to another area where they might have the same load in the same area coming back to where you just came from. So they can give you round trips, which then makes less deadhead miles, but you're better for the environment. And not only that, it saves money and puts money back in the company.
We love working with David. He's awesome. All right, let's talk about another really fun part of running a trucking company. Who here has experienced a problem getting paid for the work that they do? Kind of feel like that's a common piece of the experience. It's such a big problem in this industry, which is wild to me because you did the work. You've earned the money. Why aren't you getting paid and paid quickly? Think of the burden on you, even like if you get past the line haul cost, the burden to get detention comped, the burden just to get an express code so you can pay lumpers and get out of a facility. Like the amount of time you spend waiting for money that you're owed is crazy to me. I've actually had carriers tell me that it's too much hassle. They'll just eat the loss because they can't be bothered. This is not the way this should work. And I've had a lot of people tell me that they have to wait weeks or months for their money, right? Or you can use a factoring company. You can get money faster. But then you're taking that 3, 5, 7% chunk off the top. And that's just eating into your operating profit. And that's money you've earned. Round and round we go. You deserve better. You inspired us to create Convoy Quick Pay, where you get paid in 48 hours. No fees, no hidden costs. It's as simple as that. It's basically free factoring on Convoy loads. We also made incidentals easier. You can request hassle-free detention payments and express codes with a single tap in the app. No phone calls, no waiting. We've heard from our carriers that this is game-changing. One of the drivers I rode with, Thomas, you met him earlier, said this: it's almost too simple to get paid with Convoy with their invoicing process. All you need to do is take pictures at the end of a shipment, and it's straightforward and fast. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, as awesome as it is to hear a carrier sing our praises, I'll be the first to admit we don't always get it right. At Convoy, we're a values-based organization. This is one of my favorite values. They guide everything our values guide everything we do. One of my favorite values is this one: take ownership. Not only do we believe that it's important to own the things that we do from beginning to end, we also believe that when there's a problem, it's our responsibility to recover quickly. When we miss the mark, trust me, I want to hear about it. We want to hear about it. This is how we can make things better for everyone. I'll give you an example. We have a button in our app that drivers can click on if there's a problem, right? Like when a blocked at the pick or the drop. We thought this would be helpful for our drivers. They could let us know how things were going on the job. Well, let me tell you, our drivers started responding to us immediately. As it turns out, every time they hit the button, they had to wait 30, 45 minutes for a callback, right? That's time lost. That's money gone. It just means it takes longer to resolve issues. So we took that feedback, we went back to the drawing board, and we redesigned the entire feature in the app. So now, carriers can, with that tap, not only tell us why, they can also, not only tell us when there's a problem, they can also tell us why there's a problem. No need for a callback, no need to wait 30 to 45 minutes. We have everything we need in order to try and resolve that problem for the carrier. So, here's another example of how your feedback, carrier feedback, can make everything better. I'm not sure if you know this about Convoy or not, those of you who use it, but we have thousands of facility reviews in our app, right? So you can actually see how different facilities perform and what kinds of things are happening at facilities across the country. One day we noticed that one of our shippers' facilities was, shall we say, dipping in the ratings, right? It's like a one-star restaurant on Yelp. Maybe you don't want to go there. So we dug in. We dove deep into the data that we had and tried to figure out why. And we saw a really disturbing pattern. This shipper had a pattern of canceling loads while a carrier was assigned to them, while they were on them, about to start, and putting them back in our marketplace 15 minutes later. You can imagine the frustration if you're a carrier on a load, you get pulled off of it, and then you see it right back in the app. Lots of low ratings. Turns out carriers were refusing to go to that facility because of what was happening, or they were pricing the likelihood that that was going to happen into their rates. So that shipper's rates were climbing for that facility. So why, right? Why was this happening? It turns out the shipper staff, their technology tools were maybe not the easiest to use or the best, and they'd figured out that every time they needed to make a change to a load, it was so much easier to just cancel it and recreate it. And so instead of what they thought was going to happen, what happened was our systems would see the cancellation, cancel the load, take the carrier off of it, and then we would take the new load, recreate it in the app. So something that they were doing in order to streamline their process and make their job easier was having pretty significant effects downstream. So we dispatched a squad of convoyagers, that's what we call people who work at Convoy, to these facilities. And we explained what was happening. We explained why this was such a big problem for carriers. And we told them we had this hypothesis, right? Obviously, we can't know for sure. So we told the shipper, like, this is what we think is happening. They listened, they looked, they found that that's exactly what was happening, and they fixed it. Suddenly, that facility's ratings rose, their costs for that facility went down, and you, our carriers, were actually okay going there again. Win-win. What I love about this story is that feedback from you, the carrier, actually helped us fix a problem at a shipper. How often does that happen? All right, one more. This is a big deal right now with fuel prices going through the roof. We have a feature that carriers use called Fuel Finder, right? Tap in the app, see exactly where fuel stations are that take Convoy's fuel card. You can plan your route to them, et cetera, et cetera. It also shows their fuel prices. And it used to be that we were updating those fuel prices 4 times a day. Simple enough. Then we got feedback from carriers that by the time they got to the fuel station, the price had changed, usually gone up. And so we said, okay, now we update the fuel prices once an hour. So much higher likelihood that by the time you get there, the price is actually what we told you it was. And if we need to, we'll do it again. If fuel prices change faster, we'll update them faster. All this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg in how technology is making the industry more and more efficient. This is why I'm so excited for where we are right now in freight. Today, smartphones are in nearly every driver's hand. That wasn't true 7 years ago when we started Convoy. The technology that we're building through the supply chain and into that smartphone will create a more efficient marketplace. Things have to change, and they really have to change now. And you are central to this transformation. You need solutions to problems that are holding this entire industry back. You need less hassle in every day and more money in your pocket. It means we as a company have to constantly evolve and change. We need to make sure that we're solving the actual problems that you deeply care about and that are affecting you. You deserve that kind of partnership. That's why this perception of technology as magic really bugs me. The truth is, building a product the right way requires an insane amount of time, sweat, tears, and we're devoted to building something that you're as passionate about as much as we are. When I look ahead, I see a future where every carrier can glance at their phone, know exactly what they're doing and where they're going. In this future, you get paid quickly, and you never need to fight for what's rightfully yours. That's the kind of magic I believe in. The last thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you for all that you do to keep America running. You are so important to our daily lives. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. I want to know where you've experienced pain, all the ways you think we might be wrong, that I might be wrong, right? Everything you just heard, and how we might be able to help. I'll be at the Convoy Lounge, which is up in the mezzanine, up the bright orange stairs, for the rest of the day. So please, come by. I'd love to chat. And right there's a code that you can scan with your camera phone, and it'll take you right to a page where you can download the Convoy app if you don't already have it. You could be approved to haul in minutes. I'm right here, so you'll have a chance to tell me what you think of how easy it is to use. Thanks again, everyone.